Welcome to Autism Tips and Tools, where we highlight the best practical guidance from previous episodes of Autism Knows No Borders. Whether you're a self-advocate, a family member, or a service provider, there's something here for you. I'm Rachel Harmon, a professional in the field of autism services, outreach, and advocacy. And the following clip is from my conversation with Ali Carbone, a Brooklyn-based writer and the oldest sibling to 3 autistic brothers. In Ali's book, What Are You Looking At?, she writes about the journey of finding herself and rewiring her own brain. Here's Ali talking about how being the non-autistic sibling shaped her identity and what it means to be the glass child.
I didn't have typical siblings, right? So I never really had anyone to talk to. My friends wouldn't understand. And when I was with my friends, I didn't want to be Ali, the sister. I wanted to just be me. So I never really spoke about it. Like, it was 2 different lives. I think my life in my house with my parents was like a sacred union almost. It's definitely affected it. I'm sure we'll get to it, but it's taken time to kind of look back and be like, okay, this is what it was when I was a kid. And it got me through at that time. And everyone was doing the best that they could, especially my parents. But I look back now and I see, like, where there was opportunity for me to be a regular kid, and then maybe I probably would have turned out different, but it is what it is.
Mm-hmm. So being the non-autistic sibling, what does that do to your psyche?
I hate attention. It made me be okay with like living in the shadows. And it's actually gotten to the point where like I have a hard time ever putting myself first, because my entire life, there wasn't just one person whose needs was more important than mine. There were 3. So it's natural for me to just take the back seat in every situation and think that not only is it okay, but that I should. And that's definitely made me kind of progress slower than I think a lot of my peers, because I am kind of constantly not putting myself first, and for good reason, I feel, right? Like I always felt like it was an honor to be the sister of my brothers. Like I always feel like I wouldn't be who I am. I wouldn't be kind. I wouldn't be compassionate. Like I love my personality. I like being like a good person. But I think, since this book and like this personal journey, like let's call it that, I'm realizing that like where I used to hold it as like my shield of armor, like a badge, like I loved it. Now I'm like, I'm behind. Like I wish that I had the same emotional opportunities to grow and develop like innocently, like the rest of my peers did. And, there's a lot of people out there that are, I guess, parentification, right? Like that's the term, glass children. Like it doesn't necessarily have to be that you have a disabled sibling or a sick sibling. It could be addiction. It could be growing up in poverty. Like there's so many people that don't get to have a childhood, and there are a lot of adults walking around with, child selves. They are just kids in adult bodies. And I think that's super important for people to realize.
So I'm actually not familiar with this term, glass children.
Oh, well, buckle up. So this is like a sibling specific term. And I guess I just kind of throw that out there because I've been doing like a lot of like sibling based conversations. So glass children is like kind of this term that's arised with like the popularity of TED Talks. And, we always need to put a label on everything. But basically the definition is anyone that was raised in a family where their needs had to be overlooked because of another family member who had special needs. The special needs don't actually have to be developmental disabilities. It could be sickness. It could be addiction. It could be, social structure, whatever it is. But the idea is that it was just kind of seen through, your identity is glass, it's whatever is standing behind you or whatever's in front of you. I feel like my identity is around my brothers, and I've had to work to create who I am in my late 20s. When I think a lot of people, you're figuring out who you are in high school and in college. I was like unlearning. I was realizing that I was nobody, when I went to college. And then ever since have been on this journey of trying to not raise myself because that discredits the like incredible work that my parents did their whole lives, but rewire my ways of thinking and because of the experiences that I've had to live through. And I wrote in my book that I think my brain kind of held on. Like my mom says every once in a while, like when we have like those talks, like she'll be upset and she'll say like, do you remember anything good from your childhood? And she's not like trying to argue with me about it. She's genuinely asking because I think she feels in my personal journey that she failed. But I wrote in my book that sometimes I feel like I only remember the bad because this is like probably word for word. I only remember the bad because the bad was going to teach me more valuable lessons and it was going to help me get through. And it did. But now it's time for me to like live and have my own self and realize that I can only be an advocate and a sister to my brothers if I'm here, if I want to be here, and if I live for myself and I create myself. So yeah, my whole story is really about trying to give spotlight to the people who have lived their entire lives in the background. The untold stories of autism, not from the people who can't speak, but from the ones that can.
Thanks for tuning in to Autism Knows No Borders. Would you like to hear Ali talk about her breakthroughs in therapy and how she reconnected with her true identity? Follow the link in the show notes for the full conversation, and be sure to subscribe for more insights from people connected to autism, inspiring change and building community. Let's work together to transform how the world relates to autism. Thanks for listening. Take care.